Shalom, family. It's good to see everybody here. Boy, it is still so much going on out in California. And I was listening to the news this morning, and they are very worried because they have not put this thing out, and the winds are supposed to jump back up to 70 miles an hour, which means they're not going to be able to control that thing at all. And the fire is getting closer to Brentwood. And Brentwood, I don't know how many of you familiar, is where LeBron James live. That's where Arnold Schwarzenegger, he lives there, and so you got another very upscale community where a lot of wealthy people are living and their properties are now at risk. Boy, I tell you what, the Most High didn't miss a beat this time. It's like the vast majority of the people he has taken out are the wealthy. He is really targeting them hard. You have to be blind not to see how these folks are being targeted. And it just goes to show you their communities are not as up to par as you think. We have spoken about how they couldn't get the water to put the fires out, and then the fire hydrants are all stolen. And now I'm about to tell you something else they have come out with. And it is just bad leadership is going on in California for real, y'all. It really truly is. And these stories are very telling. What you see on the surface is always not the real story on what you're seeing. So now they're saying that they need to open up an investigation because the reservoir was offline and there was no water. This aerial shot was taken about a day ago. There is no water in the reservoir. Now, how the hell is there no water in the reservoir? So, these people, you mean to tell me they spent millions of dollars to be in certain communities because they live in those communities to keep away from us, right? You did all of that just to say, this stuff ain't even up and running. Your fire hydrants are not running. Your reservoir is empty. Boy, they're in bad shape. Somebody is dropping the ball on their job over there, for real, you know? And Gavin Newsom and Donald Trump are going back and forth fighting each other. Y'all don't need to fight each other. Y'all need to fix this mess. I tell you what, if I spent millions of dollars to live in an upscale community and this stuff was going on, oh, somebody's going to come up with some answers, good ones, because if that reservoir don't have a hole in it or it's leaking or anything, oh, you know, and just from what you're seeing, those people actually could bring a lawsuit against them. Aren't these things supposed to be taken care of by the local government? Your reservoirs and your fire hydrants, the water, isn't that local issues? So something bad is going on here. I tell you what, one fire is revealing a lot of problems about a place. For real. Yeah, and the insurance companies, thank you, Dwayne Williams. You can hear they can't pay for no 10,000 structures. It's got to be way more than that now, y'all, because they still don't have this thing contained. And from what they were saying, over the next few days, the winds are jumping back to 70 miles an hour. How are they going to contain it? They won't. They won't be able to do that. So let's get to this story. Now, from what I understand, Brentwood, they are under like an evacuation watch, a warning right now. So they haven't actually evacuated yet, but it's possible that they will. So they are under a warning right now. So more people are being moved out of certain locations because of the fire. So the reservoir was offline and empty when the fire broke out. So it's no telling how long it's been sitting like this, y'all. It's no telling how long. A large reservoir in Pacific Palisades, that's part of the Los Angeles water supply system, was out of commission when the wildfire destroyed thousands of homes and other structures nearby. The Los Angeles Times, they just found this out. So local officials are saying the reservoir was closed since February. This is 2024, y'all. February 2024 for repairs, leaving the 117 million gallon water storage complex empty in the heart of the Palisades for nearly a year. All right, so if it needs repairs, what kind of repairs do you need where it needed to sit empty for a whole year? The revelations comes amid growing questions about why firefighters ran out of water while battling the blaze, which ignited Tuesday's And they said the high winds were blowing Tuesday and reportedly early Wednesday. Numerous fire hydrants in the higher elevation streets, they either weren't there or they were dry. So they were not able to combat the flames. So Governor Gavin Newsom on Friday ordered an independent investigation of the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power over the loss of water pressure. And, and he's questioning about these fire hydrants that have been stolen. Why didn't y'all do this investigation before? Because the article that I saw back in 2024, they had over 300 hydrants stolen out of Los Angeles County in 2024. Wouldn't that have been the time to do an investigation? I'm serious. Wouldn't that have been the time to do an investigation? Y'all gonna wait until the damage is done. Now, Gavin Newsom want to do all this investigating. He's calling it deeply troubling. We need answers to how that happened, Newsom said in a letter to leaders of the water and power company. So a spokesperson said, her name is Ellen Chin, we appreciate the governor's letter and believe that an investigation will help identify any needed capacities for water systems to support fighting wildfires. So the officials have said that a demand for water during the unprecedented fire made it impossible to maintain any pressure to hydrants in high elevations. Had the reservoirs been operational, water pressure in the Palisades would have lasted longer on Tuesday night. So you still would have to end up with serious drops in pressure. Well, these folks live in those high elevations. Think about it. Even North Carolina, where, the sundown town was and got destroyed by the hurricane, that was in a high elevated place. I'm just saying. Mm-mm-mm. So they also acknowledge that the absence of this reservoir working likely contributed to some diminished pressures and hydrants in the upper regions of the Palisades. So our primary focus is to provide water supply throughout our city. The system was never designed for a wildfire scenario that we are experiencing. Emptying of the reservoir began in February after a tear in the floating cover, measuring several feet, allowed debris, bird droppings, and other objects into the water supply. The state regulators ordered the reservoir to be drained to avoid contamination. So they said to repair the reservoir, it would take up to $89,000. But I would think that a place like Los Angeles County would have that. Y'all don't have $89,000? So, anyway, in November, utilities signed off a contract with the Lakeside firm for about $130,000. So, the status of the repairs right now are unclear. So, one of the union leaders condemned the months long wait to restore the reservoir. It's completely unacceptable for this reservoir was empty for almost a year for minor repairs. That's what I'm saying. If it only costs $89,000, usually most townships can cover that. So, whether the reservoir would have had a meaningful effect on fighting a blaze, such as the intensity, remains unclear. Researchers said urban water systems were not designed to fight wildfires that overtake whole communities. Water pressure in the upper Palisades is sustained with three storage tanks, which hold 1 million gallons each. Yeah, and you remember they ran out of that and didn't even put a dent in the fire. So it just seems like the problems are mounding in California. And, I think some of that air has come over to the East Coast. Yesterday, when I went out, there was a funny, I can't describe it, but it was a funny scent in the air. And I was like, what is that? But when I came back in my house, because me, I got air purifiers everywhere in my house, almost in every room, I got a purifier. It was no smell in the house. But as soon as you stepped out of the door, you could really smell it. And I said, I wonder if some of that smoke has reached the East Coast because it's been what, 4 or 5 days now, which it is possible. So the clouds, it's very overcast here today. So it could be the case, but I can imagine how toxic the air got to be in that location, y'all. I feel sorry for anybody that's having respiratory issues or any type of breathing issue. It's got to be pure hell for those kind of folks. But y'all, yes, I do miss Abiel. Yes, it's definitely judgment. The plagues are judgment. And man, the Most High is coming down hard on that area. Why that area was picked for this disaster, I don't know. But all I can tell you is when I saw these celebrities talking about they lost everything, all I saw were a bunch of white celebrities in the Palisades. They did not interview. If there were black celebrities in there, they didn't interview none of them. That's all I saw. You know, um, and I did hear about Kim Kardashian. Her whole mansion got burned up. And Steven Spielberg, he lived over there. His mansion got completely smoked up. And so did Tom Hanks. It was a lot of people. I just didn't talk about it because I was like, okay, well, where's our people? So it must not be people that look like us over in that area. That's all I got to say. It must not be there. It must not be many there. Now, in Altadena, I did see some of our folks that lost their houses. I did see a sister, and she had a daughter that was 12 years old. They lost their house. But I think they're going to be okay because, she was saying she got a bunch of relatives that live in that area. I pulled that area up. That area is really beautiful. Altadena, do y'all know that was once 65% black town at one point in time? It's not anymore. It's been gentrified like most other places. But when you pull up Altadena, it was actually very beautiful. And I think like in the 50s and 60s, they said 65% of that town was black. And this woman that got lost her house, she said her mother grew up there and she had a lot of relatives on her mom's side of the family that lived there. And I'm like, wow, it's a shame that, it got gentrified, but, a lot of them are still there, but not as many as it was before. It went from 65% black to, I think, a 17% black now. So, yeah, so it's gotten taken over, and I think the Mexican population is 27%. But that place is beautiful, a lot of mountains, and someone said LeBron James even had a house. Like there's a part of that community where wealthy people live. like higher up, and they like to live at the higher elevations. And I believe they said for a while LeBron James had a big mansion over there. So, yeah, y'all, judgment is here. There is no doubt about it. Judgment is here even for the East Coast with all this 10 days of wind. And I mean, and it snowed overnight. We got more snow. We've been going down in the 20s at night, and it's just been unrelenting. It's very difficult to be outside when the wind is blowing nonstop, you know? So it's a let me, we are not burning down, but it's a lot of judgment going on over here too. Definitely. Uh-huh. Yeah, but this goes to show you how poor leadership is in this country. Don't look any further than the people that are leading everything. They are the reason why this reservoir is not working. They are the reason. Probably allocating the money to their pockets. That's why the reservoir didn't get fixed for a whole year. And you got all these wealthy people in that county. They could have fixed this reservoir 10 times over and got it back up and running. Yes. Yes, y'all. But you know what? I don't think these heathens recognize that they are under a judgment. Look, North Carolina should have told them what they were looking at, and they didn't fix nothing. I saw a recent story on North Carolina. They didn't fix a thing, y'all. Those people are cold, they're hungry, they're struggling. It is a mess. Now they got their makeshift homes and tents and trailers and whatever they can get their hands on, and they're living in that. That place don't look the same at all, and they're not getting it back. And you just look at the videos out there, especially on TikTok. They're talking about how they're freezing. So that sundown town being taken out and nobody saw that hurricane coming, that was unprecedented this summer. I think that was the big major news of the summer. And now we're in winter, and this fire out there among all these rich people, this is the story of the winter. Our Heavenly Father reigns supreme. He's undefeated and always will be. Yeah, I pray too. I don't know how many of our people are going to be impacted if this fire reaches Brentwood, you know? And I read, a couple of nights ago that it reached an area called West Hills. But see, I don't know what kind of populations are there because I don't know California like that, you know? Some of you that live out there, y'all know these areas, a lot better than I ever will. No, no. And this is why we got to stay prayed up. We got to be focused on ourselves. And yeah, I mean, these people are falling apart, but never forget when we were falling apart, they didn't care. They didn't care. When people in our community got shot by the cops, they would come and mock us and laugh and tell you the cop was right, and all that kind of stuff. So don't lose sight of how we've been treated up in here. Don't lose sight of it when you see their tears. Don't lose sight of everything they have done. For real. Yeah, I heard about Calabasas because I think Will Smith and Jada live out there in Calabasas. At least that's what I believe Jada said, that they live out in that area. Uh-huh. No, she is. I spoke to Kim last night, True Royal. I spoke to her last night. She's fine. She said that part of um the Palisades, she said that's like 400 miles away from her. And somebody had mentioned Megan and Harry. Megan and Harry live in Montecito. And when I looked on the map, Montecito is 90 miles away from the Palisades. So they're nowhere near that place either. So no, she's 400 miles away from that place. California is huge. That is a big, big state. Okay. RY said Brentwood and West Hills are mostly white. Thank you for that. And thank you for the super chat. Yeah, I looked at some of those places where our people live. Some of those places are beautiful. And I was looking the other day at Baldwin Hills, which I was told is a very upscale melanated community. Oh man, that place is gorgeous. Some of those locations are very nice. Okay, Jada and Will live in Calabasas. Yeah, that's what I thought Jada said. One day I was just watching one of her videos and she was saying they lived in Calabasas. Yeah. So, y'all, California is going to be in this mess for at least for a long time. And they said it is very common for those places to get very windy. So, that's going to always put a damper on fighting the fire in that area. Yeah, Baldwin Hills, I looked up that place. I looked at some of the homes. That place is really nice. It's very nice. I think they said Angela Bassett lives there. She lives in Baldwin Hills. Man, that place is beautiful. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what I heard, Yvette Smith, that Baldwin Hills was a wealthy black location. I did hear that. I think they had didn't they have some kind of show about that place at one time? I think I had heard something about, I don't know if it was a reality show or something, but they had one for Baldwin Hills. Yeah, California is huge. But, I still think it's kind of silly that they put the city of Los Angeles in the middle of a desert. That's why y'all get all that smog and all that stuff in the air because it's really unnatural for a major city to be in the middle of a desert. Yeah. Oh, well, y'all, I mean, like I said, I pray for our people that are there that may be getting impacted by this storm, the firestorm that's going on over there. But all the others, I don't have a prayer for you. I hate to be like that, but I don't have a prayer for you. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, California is the same as places all over this country where gentrification happened around us too. And it's going to continue to happen because you know what? They notice that the areas that we're in, and you don't see these wildfires there. It's always where they live. Yeah. So, it's a lot of wickedness going on. My life, totally. Thank you so much for the super chat. All praises to the Most High Yah. Sandy Miller, thank you for becoming a new channel member. Thomas Israel, thank you for the super chat. Everything is happening just the way the Most High wants it. All praises. And RY, thank you for the super chat. Brentwood and West Hills are mostly white. Okay. Thank you for that info. Like I said, that's real helpful, especially for somebody like me that really don't know much about that area. Uh-huh. Yeah, some of the names, because they said Steve Gutenberg was there, he lived there. And I mean, some of these actors were kind of the ones that you don't see anymore. It was quite a few of them. I think it was like Michael Woods and people that you really don't see that much anymore. Your retired actors and actresses. Yeah. Man, James Wood. Okay, James Wood. Yeah, because wasn't he crying on video? One of them actors were crying on video. And I think Jamie Lee Curtis, she was from that area and she was crying. And James Woods. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I noticed these were like kind of older celebrities. I didn't see a lot of younger. If there are, they didn't show them. The ones they showed were more the ones that I would say like 60, 70, possibly even 80s. Yep. Yeah, I do. That's the only reason why I know Brentwood Isaac is because of OJ. If it wasn't for OJ in that trial, I would never have heard of Brentwood myself. Robert Alexander said, I lived in LA for 60 years. The population of Los Angeles is only 6 to 7%. Most of us have been priced out of the city and have lost jobs to the Latinos. Yeah, yeah, I certainly understand that. I went to school with a girl. We were back in junior high school. Her family moved here from Oakland, but her father, he was in the Air Force. And they moved to our town, and she was really the only one I knew in my school that was from at one time lived in California. Billy Crystal, yes, I did hear Billy Crystal lived there. And I think that guy that owns Facebook, he had a home there. What's his name again? I can't even think of his name. Y'all know the one that owns Facebook. He had a house there that he lost. Yeah, I heard about Paris Hilton. I did. Okay, Mark Zuckerberg. Thank you, Kisan. Yeah, I heard he lost his house. He had a house there in the Palisades, and his house burned down. Zuckerberg, Miss Abiel. I see that. Zuckerberg, huh? Yeah, you know. But you know what? One thing the Most High proved in this whole thing, y'all, even these rich people are not safe. The same thing he does to us, he can do to them, and they will fall as well. And see, being that the insurance company see all those they are not going to rebuild no 10 to 12,000 structures that burnt. They are not paying out on that. If they paid out on that, y'all, they would not exist anymore. And furthermore, it just goes to show you the whole insurance thing in this country is a scam. It's a scam. You pay your premium on time, you don't miss a payment, and when you really need them, they jump ship on you. They shouldn't even be allowed to do that. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. But they do, and it just goes to show you the whole thing is a scam. They did the same thing, y'all, to those folks down in Florida after the hurricanes. When the hurricanes passed through there, they jump ship on those folks. Just pay attention to what these insurance companies do. They will jump ship on you. And you may not, you might have had your policy for years and years. And now that's what they're doing in California. They're leaving these people high and dry to deal with their own situation. Thank you, Miss Skilled Gamer, for posting the links to my skin site and hair site. Thank you. Uh-huh. So, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, everything is coming to light, with the insurance. That really, it didn't take me by surprise, but y'all, it shouldn't, because they did the same thing to them folks in North Carolina that lost everything. Those insurance companies are not with them and helping them get back on their feet. When all that stuff happened in North Carolina, them insurance companies walked away from them folks. And they're doing the same thing in California and the same thing down there in Florida where those hurricanes hit. They're just going to turn their backs on you. Yeah, it's all about money. They don't care what they do for you or don't do for you. Yeah, if you got a one claim here and there, yeah, they'll pay out on that. But a whole community wiped out, they're not paying for that. They didn't pay for Maui either. They didn't. You know, just watch their actions after a natural disaster. They are never, ever there for the people. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. I just wanted to bring you up to date on one more problem California had even before the fire happened. And it could have made a difference if this reservoir was working, but it wasn't working. And, you know, like someone said, it's not working for minor repairs. Minor repairs. It sat like this for one whole year for something minor and could have been fixed a long time ago. But y'all, hey, y'all, have y'all heard about anybody getting raptured away? I'm just asking because, these folks always like to tell us about their rapture. Did you see anybody raptured away out in California or North Carolina or Florida where these disasters hit real hard this year? Did anybody get raptured away? Because, these folks, they think, I couldn't figure out. I said, how could these people do all this stuff, especially to us, and think they should be taken out of here? I know why. I know why. Because they think their privilege extends well beyond this place. So they're privileged here, they're privileged everywhere. And that is very false. But I think that's what they really do believe. If they're privileged here, they would be privileged in heaven, because their whole rapture doctrine is dumb. You're going to get raptured from here. And then they said, and we gonna take over and run heaven. Why would our heavenly Father, who is the embodiment of perfection, need some flawed Gentiles to come into heaven and run it? I mean, the whole doctrine is just downright laughable, for real. It is the craziest thing ever. So he's going to take some flawed human beings that effed up everything on this planet, and he's going to let those same flawed people go into heaven and run it. You ain't going to do nothing but jack that up too. Please get real. You got to be dumber than a bag of rocks to still believe in that rapture doctrine. That's all I got to say. Y'all still believe that mess? You got to be dumber than a bag of rocks and a brick, okay? For real. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. And some of you, I will see you a little later when we do our Bible study. I see somebody else gave. Hold on, let me say my thank you. Niji, descendant of the tribe of Israel. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I deeply appreciate it. Shalom, family.